Hello, my name is Leslie Amerson, and I'm going to be doing my session 5 persuasive speech. One of the things that we love in the South is to cook. We are very passionate about it, and we're very passionate about the ways we cook. Here in the South, we like to use a lot of gas cooking as far as like propane and natural gas, whether it's cooking outside or over an open fire, or in our kitchen. A lot of the stoves in the South are gas powered. But one of the problems is that a lot of the stainless steel, Teflon coated, non-stick pans cannot stand the heat. And this has caused a lot of issue with certain ways of cooking. One of the best pans or utensils for cooking, in my opinion, is cast iron. It has been around for over 125 years. Lodge Cast Iron is one of the biggest distributors of cast iron products, and I am a huge fan of it. I am wanting to help eliminate the problem of being able to have a cooking device such as cast iron that can be used for more than one type of dish. A lot of times we have just baking, or we have just searing, or just this or just that pans until we have a whole cabinet full of them. I believe that if you have 2 or 3 really good, sturdy, well-seasoned cast iron pans, that there's not really a need to have a different baking or cooking utensil for every meal. So one of the first things I do want to talk about is that cast iron, one of the benefits is it carries heat extremely well. It is amazing for baking, especially if you're wanting to bake something like cornbread. Cornbread is probably one of the most famous breads here in the South. We have found a way to make it sweet, make it savory, make it spicy. Any way you can make cornbread, we've found a way to do it. And cast iron is excellent for it. Cast iron comes in many different shapes and sizes. They even make cast iron woks, which is pretty amazing, especially if you love, Asian food. But back to cornbread. So this is a cornbread pan. It is actually used specifically for making cornbread. It actually has the little cornbread divots in it, and the way that it works is that this bottom will radiate the heat up and cook it, from the bottom to the top. It's amazing, and it allows it to come out of the pan extremely easy. Also, another thing is browning. Whenever you use cast iron on the stovetop, say I like to do reverse searing, where you start the steak on the stove and you want to put it in the oven. The cast iron pans are amazing for it. I have 2 different cast iron skillets right here. One is a square one. This is perfect for searing steaks. It's able to actually hold 2 steaks, pretty good size steaks. You can start it by searing on the stove and then put it in the oven. The reason why cast iron is different than non-stick for this feature is that non-stick can only extend heats of about 400 degrees, whereas cast iron can reach almost up to 1,000 degrees. According to the Washington Post, whenever you are using non-stick in the oven, you can't exceed that 400 degrees because it will actually cause the chemicals that create the the non-stick to leach out. And it can actually become harmful to you because it can get into your food. With cast iron, that's not an issue. Cast irons are actually seasoned. So basically, you'll take a high-fat grease such as peanut oil or bacon fat to season your pans with. Once you do that, they're able to withstand the heat. So if you start a steak on the stove and want to broil it in the oven, say at 550, 600 degrees, you can in a cast iron where you can't in a non-skillet. The other thing is baking. As I said before with cornbread, you can bake in these cast iron skillets. One of them is called a Dutch oven, which is a excellent baking utensil in my opinion, because you can actually bake on the grill with it and open fire because it holds the heat and it actually bakes very evenly. So this device right here is called a Dutch oven. It's actually enamel coated, and what that does is it creates a finish in it to make it last longer. It's not necessarily like a non-stick, even though it does kind of perform the same way. The enamel just preserves the cast iron and keeps it from rusting. This one is actually created by the Lodge Company, which I mentioned before, and they make several different sizes. Another great benefit to having the cast irons, like I said, for browning, curing, heat, and baking, is also their longevity. If you take care of a cast iron skillet, you won't need to buy them every so many years like you do non-stick. Cast iron can be preserved. You can use it as far as like repurposing it over and over. These are actually kind of like family traditions. When you get one that's been well seasoned and used by your grandmother here in the South, it's like a family tradition. When non-stick, I know I've bought in a couple over the last couple of years, and within about, I'd probably say a year or two, the Teflon bottom is coming off. I'm having to throw it away. It's flaking off my food. With cast iron, you don't face that. The last point I do want to make about these cast iron skillets is how popular they are now. Me and my husband watch a lot of cooking shows. A lot. And so when we see people using cast iron, it's super inspiring to us because our families use it, our grandparents use it. And here in the South, whenever you are influenced by a grandparent that uses something, it's the recipe that's passed down as well, as long as the memories. But back to my point, a lot of professional chefs are starting to use these cast iron pans more and more. According to ovenspot.com, a lot of professional chefs have been making these pans more and more known. They're starting to love them because of their versatility, they're durable, and they're easy to clean. When a cast iron skillet is seasoned properly, you cook something in it, it will just wipe right out because of the seasoning that you've put in it, like I mentioned before, the bacon fat or the peanut oil or something like that. But one chef I want to point out in particularly is an American-Italian chef named Alex Guarnaschelli. I've seen her on a bunch of cooking shows here recently in the last several months, and 9 out of 10 times she's using cast iron skillets. And it's so inspirational because she's from up north. And to see her using something that's very traditional in the South means that, you know, these cast iron skillets and, you know, the word is getting out of how useful they are. But I want to just bring to the fact that these cast iron skillets can change the way you cook. They can change the way you bake, the way you sear, saute. But I think the best thing about it is the fact that you can actually cook outside with them. Me and my husband love to go camping, and we take a cast iron skillet with us every time we go camping. Our favorite one is this little shallow one. It's great for making eggs or pancakes, and it works really well over an open fire because they can take such high heat. But the one thing I want to say in closing is that if you are going to purchase a cast iron skillet, please follow the directions. That, you know, most of the time you will get them from, you know, Lodge Cast Iron. But follow the directions, season it well, and take care of it, and it will last for a very long time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you.